Respected Dharma masters, fellow practitioners, guests of this YouTube channel, and non-Buddhists. Amitofo. The topic of this Dharma talk is something extremely important and something that grasps Western Buddhists. So you have taken refuge in the Three Jewels. You have found your practice, and you're all excited about sharing the Dharma with your family and friends. In the West, you may be greeted with a lot of hardship from the point of view of your family, your friends, your parents, your loved ones. And this is a very sad state of affairs. Oftentimes, when Westerners become Buddhists officially, their family tends to reject them. They feel as though they are turning their back on their former faith, or perhaps the faith that they were raised in. And there is anguish within the family. There are harmful words that are said, perhaps back and forth. But for those Westerners who follow the Dharma, those Westerners who have embraced the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and they have taken refuge in the Three Jewels, what is the next step? When being greeted by your family or friends, you may receive some form of a backlash. This is something that our Asian brother and sister practitioners do not seem to have. The Buddhist faith is almost a cultural identity, and indeed they suffer something quite different. Our Asian brothers and sisters, because they are born Buddhists, they are raised in the Buddhist tradition, they sometimes squander their faith and they forget their faith. After all, it is part of cultural heritage. You see this oftentimes with Chinese, Vietnamese, Japanese, Korean, and so on. They associate Buddhism with their culture. You, as a Westerner, do not have the Buddhist culture that you're coming from. Oftentimes in the West, and specifically in the United States of America, you come from a Judeo-Christian background. Oftentimes a Protestant background. This sometimes can be most hostile towards your new Buddhist faith. Many times you will have your parents say harmful things to you. They don't seem to understand. They are upset and indeed angry that you would choose to leave the faith that you were taught. And this is where the parallel between Buddhism and Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, these are the points where common ground can be found. All three religions teach filial piety, and what do I mean by that? Honoring and respecting one's parents, obeying one's parents to a certain extent, at a certain age. If you embrace the Buddhist faith as an adult, or at least the way the law views you as an adult, 18 or older, then you have the free choice of whatever faith. However, again, this will cause anguish. And this anguish comes from 3 points. And the first two you may have realized, and the last one you may not have. The first point of confusion, upset behavior, and in some places harsh words, come from the fact that they completely misunderstand Buddhism. They see the statues on the altars and they assume that Buddhists are worshiping false idols. And this is, of course, not true. What can you say to a family member who points out that your new religion is idol worship? Simply calmly bring to their attention, most families in the West have photographic representations of family members on the wall. Simply ask them, well then why do you have portraits, pictures of grandma, grandpa, uncle so-and-so, aunt so-and-so? Are they not reminders of who that person is? They're not physically who that person is, but they're representations. And it is the same. The statues, all of the Dharma items on one of our altars, is nothing more than symbols that remind us of an ultimate reality. The Buddha statue, whether it be of Amitabha, Shakyamuni Buddha, Guanyin Pusa, Dashizhi Pusa, all of the heavenly host, every single statue is nothing more than a representation. As Buddhists, we know they are simply made of clay, porcelain, wood, gold, what have you. And in and of themselves, they hold no power. They are simply things. They are, as you and I, transitory, illusionary things. But they are things that help us focus on the truth of the Buddha Dharma. These are the things that help us focus our eyes on the Pure Land. These are the things that remind us at every moment of the day to say Amitabha, 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 to make vows to be reborn into the Pure Land. The second cause of confusion comes about simply because of ignorance. And oftentimes in the West, sadly, we are greeted with ignorance that does not wish to become enlightened. Ignorance that would prefer to remain in ignorance and not learn of others, other cultures, other languages, other religions. But the most interesting of the three causes that you may run into when you express your Buddhist faith to your non-Buddhist friends and family here in the West, the point that you may not have realized, perhaps the animosity that you are experiencing is simply because of your karma. Again, remember, what we do today, we are tomorrow. What we were yesterday, we are today. Life after life, birth after birth. And how hard is it to receive a human birth? So when we receive a human birth, do we squander that birth? Are we hostile? Are we obstinate? Are we arrogant? Are we full of evil? Do we hold wrong thought in our minds? Or do we greet each situation, or try to greet each situation, as the Buddha would, treating good and evil as equals, health or sickness as equals, happiness or sorrow as equals? Perhaps it is our karma that has caused such animosity between our parents and ourselves, or indeed our friends and ourselves. As Buddhists, we know we have all known each other before in this great cycle of birth and death. But it is now, it is at this time, it is at this point that you have been granted a human birth. And how beautiful is that human birth? what will you do with your birth? Will you be selfish and fill all of your desires in this life? Perhaps you are fortunate and you are wealthy. You have good health. You are full. You eat a lot. But my friends, those merits that you are enjoying in this life, that you are receiving because of meritorious deeds in your past life, they are temporary. And they will burn away. And at the end of this life, what have you done now? Are you worthy of the heavenly realms, or are you worthy of the hell realms and the lower realms, the animal realms, the realm of the hungry ghosts, and so on? So perhaps we should realize that maybe the animosity that we have, the hurtful things that are said by our parents, our friends, other family members, perhaps those are karma that we must endure silently. The most wrong thing to do would be to violently and disrespectfully express your newfound beliefs, to try to convert your parents. We are called to spread the Dharma to the world, but we are not called to proselytize or to be confrontational. If someone is interested in the Dharma, of course we are always open, with our capacity, to explain what the Buddha taught, who the Buddha was, and where our goal lies in the attainment of birth in the Pure Land, so that we can become the Buddha. And then we can help other sentient beings. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism are beautiful, beautiful religions. They have adherents from all around the world, and some wonderful, saintly people. Oftentimes, sadly, we are confronted with those that do not fall under those categories. But rather than get involved in a confrontational argument with such people, whether they be friends, family, or strangers, as Buddhists, as children of the Buddha, we will listen to what they have to say and smile. And we will thank them for their concern. But we will never become angry. We will not return vitriol for vitriol. In this way, you will show the light of the Dharma to the non-Buddhist. You might not even get a chance to talk to them about Amitabha and the Pure Land. But what you have done is to show them that a Buddhist is calm, collected, happy, joyful, compassionate, tolerant, and loving. And perhaps it will make them look into themselves and look into their own faith traditions. Another thing that Buddhists, Western Buddhists, find difficult in this life, or in their newfound practice, is how to practice amongst non-Buddhists. And it is quite simple. As a Buddhist, you should never force your beliefs on anyone. If you are at a business meeting or a dinner party or anything, all you have to do is simply keep the name Amitofo, Amitofo, Amitofo in your mind and in your heart constantly throughout your day, throughout your evening, whether sitting, standing, laying down, eating, using the lavatory, driving, watching television, reading a book. But always keep the Buddha name on your lips and in your heart. It is as simple as that. Practice meritorious deeds, and for those who mistreat you, whether they be family, friends, or strangers, do not return insult with insult. Rather, offer repentance for them. Offer incense to the Buddha. And be thankful that you had the opportunity to suffer such negativity. Because in this moment, you are repaying past debts. It is hard in the moment, because the illusionary mind, the human mind, wants to lash out and wants to say harmful things. But that's not acting like the Buddha. That is not acting like the Bodhisattvas. When you use them as a measuring stick, as we've spoken before, you will realize if Guanyin Pusa was spit upon, Guanyin Pusa would not return spittle with spittle, profanity with profanity, harsh language with harsh language, and hatred with hatred. Guanyin Pusa made one of the most beautiful vows in all of eternity, that until every being in the hell realms were released and reborn into the Pure Land, Guanyin Pusa would not attain enlightenment, would not become the Buddha. Such a beautiful vow. So when you are treated unfairly, unjustly, do not allow yourself to be caught up in anger. Simply offer repentance and have a grateful heart that we were able to suffer such indignant behavior so that we may burn off our past karma. Perhaps your family members will never accept you. Perhaps they will always be full of hatred and disgust that you have chosen a different path than what they have taught you. But remember also, the Buddha taught us to have a sense of filial piety to our parents. The ultimate respect and the ultimate deference to our parents, even if we disagree with them and even if they disagree with us. You must always be respectful of your parents. This does not necessarily mean full obedience even into adult age. However, respect them. Listen to what they have to say. If it does hurt your heart, that is sad. But again, remember to be grateful. It's very hard to do so at the time. But remember to be grateful at this opportunity that your past karma, you are now paying this debt. Do not lash back at them. Do not be bad representatives of the Buddha. Do not be bad representatives of the Dharma. Do not be bad representatives of the Sangha. When we are met with the challenges of life, the ultimate test as to whether we are correct in our practice or not is how we deal with each situation. And oftentimes we will fail, and fail miserably. But we pick ourselves back up. Amitofo, rededicate our efforts, make stronger vows, and we will succeed. If your family and friends are open to a discussion, by all means, share to them who Shakyamuni Buddha was, who Amitabha Buddha is, who the Bodhisattvas are, what the main teachings of Buddhism are. Chanting, meditation, vows, and faith. If they are like the teacup that is being poured tea into the teacup, and it begins to overflow, and the pourer continues to pour and pour and pour, and tea spills out on the floor, if they are like this mind that is already full of their tea, their ideas, their thoughts, so that anything new will overflow, they will not be willing to hear. If your family, friends, associates are this type of person, the full teacup mind, those are the people you simply smile and listen to what they have to say and offer prayers and incense for them. Buddhism, there is no reason why people in the West should fear or have hatred towards Buddhism. Several Westerners in the past have made comments that Buddhism really is the religion of the future, because we are all tolerant, we are all loving, or we are called to be tolerant, and we are called to be loving. There are 84,000 paths to the Dharma, so many different Buddhist sects, but Buddhist teaching ultimately is all the same. So, when confronted with hardships in dealing with family and friends, remember the three: that they are ignorant and hostile. They are the teacup mind, and they're already full, so they don't want to hear any more. Or you are simply paying off past karmic debts. But at no point, as a Buddhist, should you become hateful or lash back at them. This is very hard, especially when being chastised, and especially being chastised by your parents as an adult. But the Buddha teaches us that we must respect our parents, no matter how hard it is, no matter what harmful things they say to you, no matter how much it wounds your heart. They are your parents. It is your father, and it is your mother, and it is your duty as a son and daughter of the Buddha to endure that hardship, preferably with a smile, and then offer repentance. Chant the Buddha's name. Make vows for your parents. Make vows that they will be born into the Pure Land after death, so that they won't have to come back to this life, this constant cycle. I am your son, I am your daughter, I am your father, I am your mother, and so on. And these relationships, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, build and build. The hatred, the vitriol, the harmful speech that is being spoken to you now, perhaps this is something that has been stewing for eons and eons, lifetime after lifetime. And it now comes out the mouth. Redouble your efforts in your daily practice. Spend 5 minutes chanting the Buddha name, and then making vows for those loved ones that have harmful thoughts to you or negative thoughts to you and your current path. As a Buddhist, does this mean that we reject Jesus, we reject Moses, Allah, and so on? No. Some Westerners have said that they love Jesus even more as a Buddhist, because they recognize it's an incarnation of the Buddha. And when you can do this, and you can see the Dharma is everything. And when you can see the Dhamma in everything, the true teaching in everything, this is Buddhist thought. This is right thought. When you say, I have the only truth, and one must follow my only truth, this is wrong view. And this only harbors bad karma, and creates, rather, bad karma for you. And either in this life or in the next, your karma will catch up with you. And to liberate oneself, we use the Nyemphal, the Buddha name recitation of Amitofo. So you see, my friends, it is a difficult situation to be in when you have friends and family members that do not accept your Buddhist faith. However, simply remember this: you are a child of the Buddha. And that is a wonderful thing. It is so hard to achieve a human birth, but you have achieved this birth in this life at this time. And it's even harder to hear the words of the Buddha, to hear the Dharma being preached, to feel that lotus open. But you have touched that sweet, sweet nectar that is the Buddha Dharma, that is the name, Amitofo. So redouble your efforts, my friends. Chant harder, meditate, recite the Buddha name, make vows, and have faith that you will be reborn into the Pure Land. And for those members of your family, chant even harder. The more hateful, the more negative they are to you, the more you should chant. You see? The more harmful, hateful, wrong view speech that is thrown at you, the harder you should chant. The more you should offer repentance, the more incense you should offer. But most importantly, the more you should chant Amitofo, Amitofo, Namo, Amitofo, Namo, Amitofo, for those people that hold all of these wrong view towards you. My Dharma friends, especially to you Westerners, I hope that this small Dharma talk has helped you. I understand that it has been a while since I've been able to make Dharma talk videos. But there will be more, and there will be more soon. And we will explore the teachings of the Buddha. We will explore what it is to be a Buddhist in the modern era, and especially here in the West. My beloved friends, Dharma masters, and guests, I wish you all of the best. Redouble your efforts. I wish you rebirth into the Pure Land after death. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them on this YouTube channel, and I will try to respond back to each and every one of you. It makes my heart very humble to see that I have so many Chinese and Vietnamese viewers. It was very surprising to me when I realized the amount of Asian viewers of my Dharma talks, because they are geared towards Westerners. However, it seems as though several of you have taken something from my humble, pathetic teachings. And that is very humbling. And if I in any way can help explain the Dharma, that is my point. That is why I took those vows. My friends, remember what I have said. Remember that all relationships, whether they be family, friends, or what have you, we have all known each other before. And when you realize this, knowing that we have known each other, it's not so hard to see that past debts must be paid. It's harmful at the time, and it hurts, but it is simply the paying off of one's karma. But that is the sign that you should practice even harder. My Dharma friends, I look forward to having a moment with you again. Ami Tofu.